Law enforcement is reportedly in a heightened state of alert as they brace for potential clashes tomorrow at a protest called Justice for January 6th. After what actually happened on January 6th, right-wing protesters will still be allowed to descend on the National Mall to show their support for those who violently stormed the Capitol that day. This time, lawmakers will not be at the Capitol because both chambers will be in recess, so that's good. And although Capitol Police say they don't know exactly how many will be in attendance, the permits issued allow for up to 700 participants. That's less than the thousands we saw on January 6th. The chief of Capitol Police and the chief of D.C. Metropolitan Police gave this update earlier today on the potential for violence. Take a listen.
There have been some threats of violence associated with the events for tomorrow, and we have a strong plan in place to ensure that it remains peaceful and that if violence does occur, that we can stop it as quickly as possible.
Our department has increased staffing today and is fully activated for tomorrow. So you will notice an increased police presence around the city, and this is to ensure everyone's safety and security throughout the district.
The event is being organized by a nonprofit group called Look Ahead America, which is run by a former Trump campaign staffer, Matt Barnyard. The group is also reportedly planning protests in 17 other cities tomorrow. Barnyard says Saturday's protest won't be a repeat of what we saw in January. Take a listen to what he said.
We've got a largely peaceful crowd. We've had 2 events in Washington, D.C. so far, at the Department of Justice and at the prison, and there have been no incidents so far. No one's going to be bringing in a weapon who's going to be part of our crowd. I can assure the police that.
Now, I keep coming back to this because I just can't shake it. Could you imagine if Black Lives Matter stormed the Capitol, 5 people wound up dead, and there were hundreds injured, then they wanted to have another protest to support those other protesters? No, you can't imagine that, right? Because it would never, ever be allowed to happen. Joining me now to discuss it is the executive director of the Western States Center and senior fellow with the Southern Poverty Law Center, Eric Ward, and founder of One People's Project, Daryle Lamont Jenkins. So, Eric, what are you expecting to happen tomorrow with this protest in support of the insurrectionists?
Unlike January 6th, there's not a major call for a mobilization in DC. And in fact, a number of groups have openly told members not to attend the event. The organizer, Matt Brainard, doesn't have the clout that others in the far right and within white nationalist circles have. But with that said, there is a risk of violence, as there is with any such event. What we have learned over the last 4 years is that mobilizations by the alt-right don't bring violence as an aberration. It is part of their mobilization. And so we need to be concerned, not just in DC, but in every state capital where there is a rally that is being organized this weekend.
Daryle, what do you make of the response that Republicans have had to this this new rally? Basically, they're just distancing themselves from it. They're not saying much about it. But at the same time, Republican governors across the country are passing anti-protest bills to crack down on social justice protests.
Well, that's expected. I mean, the fact of the matter is that Republicans are going to distance themselves from this particular rally, particularly because that they know that this particular rally is radioactive. Whatever happens tomorrow was supposed to be a larger event. I remember I was in Portland just last month, and Randy Ireland, who is a Proud Boy that started a group called Citizens Against Political Persecution and who worked with this organizer in the past, basically promoted this rally at a Proud Boy rally in Portland just a couple of weeks ago, the one where the Proud Boys engaged in some street violence where they tipped over a van. I think because of all the heat that's put upon the Proud Boys, and the fact that just a couple of days ago, Roger Stone was served for his role in January 6th, that the heat's on. And a lot of people are, in fact, going to stay away. That is what I'm hearing here in the D.C. area. In regards to the protests that we have, or rather the legislation against the protesting that we have seen in Republican states, we are at a time where we see conservatives engaging in Hail Mary tactics. They know that what they're doing is unconstitutional, but they don't care because they think that something that they're doing is going to slow down the progress that the rest of us in this country have made. And that's all they're really trying to do. We just have to be up on top of it so that it doesn't go farther than we think that it's going to go.
Mr. Ward, President Trump is calling tomorrow's rally a setup because apparently if not enough people show up, it shows they don't have enough spirit around, him and his movement. If too many people show up, then they're likely to be harassed. What do you make of Trump's reaction to this and trying to tamp down expectations before it even happens?
Well, I think Trump is trying to do what he does best, which is to be a salesperson and to relay whatever information he believes puts him in the best position. The truth is this, is that most of these rallies have brought about some form of violence, either at the demonstrations themselves or leading into them or afterwards. There are countless examples of individuals who have been assaulted. But we need to remember one thing, that on January 6th, over 140 law enforcement officers were injured by the alt-right in Washington, D.C. This was an attempt to overturn American democracy. This was an attempt to terrorize elected officials. And this was an attempt to overturn 75 years of civil rights struggle that has largely been led by the Black community in this country. What we can make of this is that we should not merely keep our attention on D.C. Yes, there will be a rally there. Yes, we need to be responsive. But the truth is, Charles, is that there has been political violence happening in this country since January 6th. It is happening in local communities around the country. Elected officials, government officials, health workers, school board members, students are regularly being terrorized by an insurgent right, and the federal government has been absent in supporting local governments and responding effectively. That will not change
Mr. Jenkins,
after tomorrow.
I want to give you this last question because, there are still things about January 6th that have not been solved. There was someone planting pipe bombs in the city of Washington, D.C. We still have not identified who that person is, let alone caught that person. Do you believe that the security response to tomorrow's rally is appropriate and sufficient?
I think that what we have seen over the past 6 months has been partly show when it comes to who has been arrested and partly inaction. Truth of the matter is we have not seen elected officials or prominent people who were promoting this event, promoting January 6th, prior to January 6th, being held accountable for it. I just mentioned that Roger Stone was served papers this week, but we have elected officials like Lauren Boebert and Josh Hawley who have not been held accountable for the roles that they have played. I can understand not finding the guy with the pipe bombs. They still should be looking. Hopefully they will find that person. But I am especially concerned about the fact that we have people that are working in that building today that were responsible for what happened that day. And we need to start asking ourselves why they haven't been held accountable. What is going on that's causing such a deficiency in that regard?
Eric Ward and Daryle Lamont Jenkins, thank you, gentlemen, for your time tonight. I really appreciate it. Coming up The fastest growing news network in America is adding a brand new talent. Aisha Mills stops by Prime. You're watching PNC.